Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with episode number 29 of Gumbo Live. Board Game Gumbo Live is the #1 Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board gaming. Steven, that's because we're the only Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board gaming. But you know what? We're going to hold on to that mantle as long as we can, Steven.
As long as you can.
Special guest tonight, you heard his voice. The Podfather himself, Stephen Buonocore of Stronghold Games is here. Gumbo Live is a proud member of Punchboard Media. Punchboard Media, check out some of the other fine members like What's Eric Playing? If you like board game photos and reviews, Eric does a fantastic job with both. He's a talented photographer, so check those out. Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Hit me up on social media, Twitter at BoardGameGumbo or on .com/BoardGameGumbo. But hey, enough blather, Stephen. Let's get to our guest, Stephen Buonocore. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me. This is like awesome, dude. I'm so happy to be here. This is, by the way, it's like my first like podcast. Well, that was not my own podcast that I've done since I've gotten to my new home in Florida, which is kind of what I'm doing here for you. I'm wearing
look at that.
I'm in the, well, it's not a Hawaiian, but, you know, it's Stronghold red. So it's my Florida shirt for you. How's that?
I like it. Florida resident. Is it the best decision you've ever made, Stephen?
It is. Well, you know, as you probably know, or some of your fans probably know, I was tied to the New York City area for the longest time, right? I was born in Brooklyn, raised in Queens. I was a New York resident, then moved to New Jersey. And I was tied there because I did have business there. I was in the corporate world for a very long time, including a long time while I was running Stronghold Games. So now, once I left that whole corporate world stuff and I was not tied, I could say, you know what? Let me make a change here. Let me do something cool. Florida. I've only been here a month, so we'll see what happens, right? Of course, but it's a great decision, you know. Great weather, better taxes and cost of living. So it's a really good thing. I'm very excited about it. Very excited about being here in Florida.
Yeah, speaking of that, we heard in your voice, Stephen, give us the elevator pitch. Tell the fans. I don't know who would be watching this show and who doesn't know who Stephen Buonocore is, who Stronghold Games is. But just in case, give us the elevator pitch about Stephen Buonocore and Stronghold Games.
Well, Stronghold Games is a major hobby game publisher. Started in 2009. And really hit our stride in the last few years. We are the publishers of such games as Survive, Escape from Atlantis, which we was one of our first games and really put us on the map. And of course, now through partnerships in Europe, we have really done a great job of bringing great games from Europe over to the United States. And of course, the biggest game that we have right now, one of the biggest games in the industry, is of course Terraforming Mars. And it's just not even trying to be funny about it, is a game changer, of course, because it is such a big game for us and for the industry. And we are very proud to be partnering with Fricks Games out in Sweden to do that game for you. So Stronghold Games is bringing new games out, both in-house, but to a lesser degree in-house, but mostly through partnerships with great partners across Europe, including Fricks Games that I mentioned, 2F Spiele, that's Friedman Friese's company,
Sure.
Artipia Games, which is the great Greek company, Spielworks, the German company, et cetera, et cetera. We find great partners to do games with, and that's how we've established ourselves and continue to grow over time.
Hey, we got a couple of live people checking in here. Stephen
O'Rourke. Hey.
Steve O'Rourke, great name there. He's the name father from the Dukes of Dice. He says, hello, BJ and Stephen. Looking forward to the show. He may have to go pick up the kids in the middle, but he'll be back to help us play the game. So Stephen's one of my good buddies and helps me do the show. Stephen, you were talking about some of the games, especially Terraforming Mars. I like to joke and I like to kid. And a long time ago, when you first started your podcast with Ignacy Trevicek, you said people were making jokes about what to get Stephen for Christmas or something like that. And you won't even remember this. It was just a throwaway thing that I put up on your guild or maybe on Twitter or something. And I said, it would be great for Stephen Buonocore to finally get a top 10 game and he could retire from board gaming and move to an island. You know, two of those three are close. You moved and you've got a game in the top 10. How does it feel to have a game in the top 10?
That's a pretty funny statement. I don't
It was
Did
a
you
joke.
say it to me? Did you
No,
say it to me?
I just put it up on social media 2 years ago.
That's great. That's great. Well, it felt really great, and it was extremely unexpected. The response to obviously Terraforming Mars has been off the charts and wonderful, and it's such a great thing to have a young company out in Sweden who selected us. I mean, after we spoke to them for a couple of years about the game and got them to believe in us, and we worked with them. It wasn't an immediate. We found the game, we loved the concepts, but we actually worked with them for a full year to get that game to really where it was. And I used a developer of mine, Jeff Gamble, who has the Long View podcast, fantastic guy, and he worked tirelessly to get it to a perfect place. And I think that we really are there. All due credit to Jeff for his development, but of course also to Jacob Frixelius and all the Frixelius family. There's
huge family.
10 brothers, 10 boys, and 6 girls in the family. That's not 16, I believe. And they all work in the company one way or another, and it's a great feeling to be part of that. So yeah, having a top 10 game, fantastic thing. No, I'm not retiring. Not yet, at least. Not yet. No, we're going to continue to bring out great games, both in obviously in the Terraforming Mars line. We have 6 expansions planned, already 2 of them out. Other things possibly in that line, as well as great other games from other publishers that we work with.
BJ from Board Game Gumbo here. Gumbo Live. Got my guest, Stephen Buonocore of Stronghold Games. We got another designer checking in for you. Chris Strain, the designer of Asking for Troubles, one of my favorite worker placement games. He says, hey guys, and Chris usually asks some pretty good questions. I don't know if Chris has played Terraforming Mars tonight, but maybe he'll let us know during the show.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, I have played Terraforming Mars, and
I hope so.
Oh yeah,
God.
I played it. It's one of our guys in our game group. It's one of his top games of all time, so he loves it. And you got a bunch of good expansions coming out. A couple of more questions though. Chris says, hey, he absolutely has played Terraforming Mars. So
cool.
I'm waiting to hear what he thinks about it. So you play a lot of games. You've got to do, you bring back games from Essen when you take your meetings. You meet with people at Gen Con. You meet with people at all these different conventions. What's the best game you can talk about, either in Stronghold or not Stronghold, that you've played since Gen Con? What's the best thing you've enjoyed?
Best games I've played since Gen Con. Well, it's funny. Since I got to Florida, I've only been here for 4 weeks, by the way. We just moved 4 weeks ago.
Right. And
since I got here, I haven't even got out to a game group or anything. It's just been so busy because, you get here, you got to settle in. And I'm aggressively looking for a house. We're renting right now and aggressively looking to buy a house. In fact, we just went to contract. So
nice.
We actually have found a house. So we hopefully will be closing on a house in 2 months. But I haven't even been out to a game group, and I haven't been doing much gaming. But 2 weeks ago, I was up in Orlando. Tom Vassell invited me, or I invited myself. We'll decide what the truth is there, to on his live stream for his Kickstarter. So I was up there, and I got a chance to play a bunch of things. And it was like the first games I played, since I had been here. And I got a chance to play Seventh Continent. Have you played that yet?
I have not played it. It looks fantastic, though.
Yeah, that's that really big Kickstarter that happened a few years ago, and they finally brought it out. Really great. I mean, it's one of those games that is an experience game that it doesn't matter. It's cooperative. It doesn't matter if you win or lose, but you're exploring this very detailed system of cards that come out as you're exploring a world. I was very, very impressed with how well they put it together. I actually backed that Kickstarter back like 3 years ago when it first came out, and I got the game and it's on my shelf. I gave it to a friend. I said, "Hey, learn this, and we'll go play this soon." But of course,
these big campaign games your type of game? Is that stuff that you like?
I love American style games in general. So that would be like games with conflict or games that are experience oriented. So that is really my kind of style of game. So I just enjoyed it very much. And it's just something that you could kind of you can kind of play. It's a very long game too. Every one of the scenarios will go on for a while. I think we played it for like 4 hours, and we didn't even. It like flew by. It's just a game that you will just have this wonderful experience every day. I think Tom said after the entire 36-hour streaming live marathon that it was like his favorite game that he played. I think we started it at 4 a.m. That was the 4 a.m. game that started that day. Because they stream for 36 hours, basically straight. It's a marathon. They take two breaks, but the overnight they go direct, and I have to wake up at like 3 in the morning to get onto camera at 4 a.m. We relieve the other guys that are coming off camera, and we just start. And and it was just a lot of fun doing it. So that was a great one. I played Near and Far.
Love it.
That's the Above and Beyond sequel to Above and Beyond.
My non-Stronghold #1 game of the year last year.
Oh, cool! Yeah, and I'm mentioning non-Stronghold games because I love to give props to all my friends in the industry and just great games that I love. Ryan Lockett is a genius. I love the guy. I don't know if you've ever met him. Very gentle, kind, nice person, and he is not only the designer, he's the artist, he's the graphic designer. He is. They talk about me as a one-man company. He goes above and beyond. He does everything in his company, and I really enjoyed that very much. Again, it was just a lot of fun and a lot of great experience in that kind of game. So, another game that I would just kind of wrap my head around, get my hands around, and really just enjoy that experience with a bunch of friends. So that was another biggie that I played. Both of those games I did, on the Dice Tower Live. Streaming events. That was really cool.
Got a couple of people checking in. BJ from Board Game Gumbo Live. Michael Vanoy says, "Hey, Steven, congrats on the house."
Oh, well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Yeah. Renting now, purchasing very soon, in contract.
Chris Strain, the designer of Asking for Trouble, says, "Hey, the best way to play Terraforming Mars is with drafting, of course. That's when real strategy starts. True or false, Steven Buonocore?"
100%. I've actually never played Terraforming Mars without drafting. I think any serious gamer. I mean, you can just introduce it to people and just give them the cards, of course. But I don't even consider it like an advanced variant. You just immediately start doing the card drafting as soon as you crack that game open. That's the way to do it.
That's the only way I played it. Steve O'Rourke says, congratulations on the move. Best wishes for making it a home. Is Florida home yet? I saw you walking around getting driver's licenses, so obviously you're permanent. But does it feel like home yet? I should have got my license. I've been posting it on Facebook trying to hold over the number. No, it absolutely does. I mean, I guess on some level, I feel a little bit lonely or nostalgic. I mean, I'm missing my friends, right? I mean, I have tons and tons of friends in New Jersey. Made some very close bonds of people there. But, I don't have time to really, too busy. So too busy to worry about things like that. So yes, Florida absolutely has started to feel like home. It'll be more and more home when we actually move into our own place. It'll give me a little bit more time on that one, but things are really shaping up. And I have people clamoring, literally emailing me and texting me like, "Hey, we're gonna have a game thing. You gotta come over. You gotta come over." Nice. Like Jason Levine. It wasn't 12 hours after I arrived, and Jason is posting and texting me like, "You got to come down to Cool Stuff in Hollywood. There's a game." I'm like, Jason, I have 30 more years I have to game with you. Relax. I will promise I will get down there. So, things are going well down here. It really is good. BJ from Board Game Gumbo Live. My guest, Steven Buonocore from Stronghold Games. The comments are rolling in just as I expected. Hey, that's good. The Game Geek Ninja, Jeremy Davis says, "Yes, my group backed Seventh Continent immediately." And I didn't realize that. You're a Kickstarter backer sometimes then, huh? Yeah, I don't do a lot. I will admit I do not back many, but certainly several. I'll be getting delivery of Andrew Parks' new Dungeon Alliance. I just got one of your favorite designers, right? You like Andrew Parks. Parks is a very dear friend of mine. The designer of Core Worlds in the Stronghold Games line.
there could be another Core Worlds thing coming out this year. Who knows? Or at some point in the future. There's a little bit of a hint. And he did his own Kickstarter for Dungeon Alliance, and I absolutely backed it with the painted miniatures. I can't wait.
Oh, nice.
It's coming. It was supposed to arrive on Friday, but I'm going to be traveling this weekend, so I had to tell FedEx, hold it. I'll go pick it up when I get back.
Oh, I hate that. Hey, a couple more questions, Stephen. Paul says, hey. And Michael, you know Paul, right?
Is on the, I can't believe he's there. He's haunting me. You know who that is?
His name is so familiar to me.
Paul Nkeo is the lead developer at Stronghold Games. I did not know he would be showing up here. Paul, get to work, Paul. Stop looking at me.
Michael Vanoy says, Stephen, who's your favorite founder? And I'm assuming he's not talking about the founders of the United States, because that was obviously George Washington. But
I assume he's not talking about the founders of our great democracy. That would be very unfair of me.
Come on.
Do you know who he's talking about? You don't know who he's talking about.
He's talking about the founders from the game, right?
I assume he's talking about the founders, the Secret Cabal. I don't know.
The Secret Cabal?
I don't know. That's when they say the founders, that's what they call themselves. It's Jamie Taggy.
I'm partial to Chris Miller, but
Chris Miller, the lovely guy. Brian.
Chris picks all the strangest games, and he just makes me laugh. And of course,
Tony Topper. They're all great. I mean, Jamie, their leader, sort of. He's a wonderful guy. I have a conference call with him tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow?
Oh, then you got to tell us. Who is your favorite founder, then? We'll keep
I love all the guys. I sponsor their show. How can I pick a favorite? I love them all. They're all great guys.
Cynthia Tuck says, sorry, Michael, we tried, but we're gonna keep hammering on him. Cynthia Tuck says, how are the beer options in Florida? You know, a lot of people may not know this. You are a beer connoisseur. Jamie said that dinner that you guys did with the beer thing at was it a Gen Con? Was fantastic.
The Gen Con beer thing. But before I get to that, I got to shout out to Cynthia there. Another one of my people on staff, so to speak. Cynthia Tuck is like sort of my trade show manager. She travels around for me. She's an absolute super knight of the Stronghold. Where was she at Dice Tower Con while me and Linda was setting up for you? That's right. She was not the Dice Tower Con, but she does shows without me even being there. Like she did PAX Unplugged this year. The new show. I had to be a BGG guy. She did it. Ran the whole show. Everything. Amazing person, Cynthia. Great work. Thank you for watching the show, Cynthia. Yeah. Back to beer connoisseur. Yeah, man. I am ridiculous. Oh, and what am I doing tonight? There is no beer in the house. I'm actually having a glass of wine, which is very funny. A little Spanish? This is Decoy by Duckhorn. It's a very famous Napa Valley vineyard. Okay. They are Duckhorn is a very high-end vineyard. They make $100 bottles of wine. Crazy. Ooh. But they have this Decoy. They have this other brand that they put their, other stuff under. It's the best $20, $25 bottle of wine you can have. They make a Pinot. They make a Cab. Very nice. I happen to have the Pinot at the moment. So, Decoy by Duckhorn. When you're Asmo ready and you finally get that Asmo buy, then you can move up and start getting those Duckhorns, right? No. I'm too cheap to ever buy $100 bottles of wine, ever. I don't care how much money I have. So this is really good wine. Michael Benoist. Oh no, you're going to tell us about the beer. I'm a very big beer connoisseur. I'm a beer. Back in the day, I was a beer judge, not professionally, but I did home brewing competitions all the time. Oh, look at that! He's pointing to my games up there. Thank you. 2 of my games. So I used to do home brewing competitions. So I'm a BJCP. It's the Beer Judge Certification Program judge, and I reached the certified level. I have friends who reached the master level, the national level of certifications, and they judge constantly. I gave it up because it was taking too much time, and of course I had other things to do, like start up a game company, so things like that. So, but I'm a very big connoisseur, and I still go out and I constantly look for beer at local beers in different places. Of course, being in Florida now, I have a whole another set of beers to find. This past weekend, I was at Due South Brewing Company in Boynton Beach, which is where I'm living right now. So, anybody out there who's a big beer person, you can find me on Untapped, which is an app, and you check in all your beers, and it's a lot of fun to do that. It's sort of a game. It kind of gamifies your beer drinking. You can go and find new beers, log them in, and things like that.
Everybody uses BGG Stats, and one of the podcast people were talking about it. We need to gamify BGG Stats app so that as you're collecting games, something will happen. But Michael has a good question for you. BJ from Board Game Gumbo Live here with Stephen Buonocore, Stronghold Games. He wants to know, any more escape rooms planned? A lot of people don't know you have that little group with who is it that you're doing it with? Zeb?
I will.
No.
Why don't I plug my escape room? I guess right.
Plug away.
In Fort Myers, Florida. I was the only partner of this who was not a Floridian. I own at 25% ownership with Zev Schlesinger, formerly Z-Man Games. He's now with WizKids Games, the director of board games. Frank DiLorenzo from R&R Games, and the president of R&R. And a person who's not part of the gaming industry. His name is Josh Young. We started up Escape Room Adventures in Fort Myers, Florida. It is an escape room. It's got currently 3 rooms open, the 4th coming soon. We have room to open a 5th. We're going to continue making this better and better. I do not believe at this moment we're looking to go to another physical location. We've talked about it, but I think the best thing for us to do is to make the current location great. If anybody's out there in the Naples, Fort Myers area, please check out Escape Room Adventures. You will not be disappointed. Our puzzles are as good as any. The experience is really good. We have an alien game. We have a 1980s children's bedroom themed game where you're trying to find the kid's candy stash because he's hidden it on you. We have a magician's room, a pirate room. It's a really, really cool set of escape rooms that you can go check out.
BJ from Board Game Gumbo, my guest here, Stephen Buonocore on Gumbo Live from Stronghold Games. I got a question for you, Stephen.
Yeah.
What's the perfect game night for you? What are the type of games that you're going to play if you could just choose? Would it be party games? Is it American style games? Is it thematic games? Is it Euro games? What's that perfect game night for Stephen Buonocore?
Yeah, to me, you hit on like some of my favorite things there, and I mentioned it before a little bit too. But when I get together with like big groups of friends, I'm a huge party gamer. So we play party games. Oh yeah, no. Well, you should expect it because I'm such a social guy. You and I have hung out a little bit, and I'm all about just being with people and hanging out. So party games to me are great. And like Catchphrase is one of my all-time favorite party games. Yeah, Catchphrase, right? You have the thing pass. You got to get your team to guess the word that's on the screen. You pass it, and it goes around. And you can play that game with basically almost any number of people, as long as it's not a prime number, basically, because you can play it in teams of 2s and 3s. Sure. We've, 2 teams or 3 teams or even more teams like that. We've done it with many, many, many people. Love it. And I think Codenames is truly, one of the absolute classic games of all time. I can't talk more highly about how great I think Codenames is. Every American family should own a copy of Codenames. Sure. They should take every copy of Monopoly they have, toss them in the garbage, and just buy a copy of Codenames, and they will have so much more fun, enjoyment out of that. So when we get together with friends in big groups, it's about party games, and so we're going to be playing.
That's what I pegged you for. I pegged you for party games. I call them party games with a purpose. Games like Codenames or social deduction games. Like I figured you for a guy like a Dark Moon, which is from your company, but
thank you.
Rare Words or any of those kind of social deduction games, because they're the party element that I like, but they still have that purpose. They got that gamification in them,
Absolutely. Obviously, I'm a big fan of social deduction games in general. I mean, I love Werewolf. I mean, in general, that was the beginning of that whole kind of genre. I'm a big fan. It's one of my, numbered like 10 rated games. Dark Moon, we brought that out a couple of years ago. We distilled the Battlestar Galactica experience into like a 1-hour experience, and that was great for us. Not Alone. We brought out Not Alone last year, which which is not, not social deduction, but it's that creepy feeling of like one versus many, and that's again, you can have that, and it's up to 7 players, so it's got a party or an experience feeling. So games like that give you this kind of like social element, and I'm kind of like looking into your soul and reading your mind and trying to figure out what you're doing and what I'm doing. Hey, look at dude, you're so good at this. He brings up a copy of the expansion for Not Alone Exploration.
Perfect segue, right?
Yeah,
Not Alone.
Thank you very much. It just came out at the end of last year, Not Alone Exploration. So yes, absolutely part of the kind of games that I like to play when I get together with the kind of the larger groups. But then as a what is like my like go-to genre for serious gaming? It's really I'm an American style gamer. Euro games are great. I play them, but Euro games are like kind of solving a puzzle, right? That's kind of what you have to optimize what you do. I am much more about the experience personally. This is my personal thing. I bring out more Euro games under the Stronghold catalog than I do American style games because hey, they sell, and of course I'm running a business. I have to do that. Terraforming Mars in its heart, of course, is a Euro game, card driven. Resource management Euro game. But I prefer games with lots of interaction on the board, lots of conflict. I used to play war games quite a bit. So that's my go-to style when I can really enjoy myself in gaming. Of course, a lot of my gaming has to do around playing prototypes and things like that. So I have to monitor all of those things together.
BJ from Board Game Gumbo Live, my guest, Stronghold Games, founder, president, all-around guy, Stephen Buonocore, podcaster, the Podfather. One of the things that people want to talk about is the games that you got coming out. And my buddy Sean Jones, you met Sean at Dice Tower Con. He was one of the helpers, sure. the game demo guys. He wants to know, when can he see Noria? Noria, am I pronouncing it right? Noria. And he wants to know also, when are you going to deliver it to his doorstep personally?
Does he live within 20 miles of Boynton Beach, Florida? No. We could talk about it.
No, he does not.
If he does not, sorry, but somebody else can get it from him. Well, this is a good time to maybe talk about the current set of releases, right? The 2018 releases. We can go through the just the early releases. A lot of some of the stuff that we had announced for a 2017 release, we specifically allowed to slip into 2018 because we had so much stuff going on at the end of 2017. It was just a tremendous confluence of games. So we enabled a bunch of games to be released in January, February, March, even into April, because we wanted to smooth out those releases, and so gamers would not be inundated with things, and then they can see what's happening in Stronghold as we move forward in the first quarter. So what's happening right now, January, in fact, tomorrow, on January 31st, the street date for Indian Summer is tomorrow, and that is the second game in the puzzle trilogy for Uwe Rosenberg. And you have on your shelf there, you have Cottage Garden, right? You just showed me that a second ago. Thank you. Look at that. He gets the things up really quickly. So this is the second one in the puzzle trilogy for Uwe Rosenberg. And of course, trilogy. He's going to have another one we're going to have hopefully by the end of the year as well. In this one, it's a little more gamerly, a little more heavy than the original Cottage Garden, which is just amazing and fun and light and quick. That was a kind of a riff on the patchwork system. Now he stepped it up with Cottage Garden and made it multiplayer. And now with Indian Summer, he's done it again with even more play. That's street dating tomorrow, January 31st. We move into February, and we have 2 expansions coming out in February for different games. We have Flamme Rouge Peloton, right? That's the expansion to Flamme Rouge, our racing game. That goes from 1 to 12 players. It takes a game to 1 to 4 players. It gives you a 5-6 player option to add directly into the main game. And then you can also play it solo, and you can play it up to 12 players with a variant, which is a really big thing. And Flamme Rouge has been doing really well for us. I don't know if you saw the giant version of it that we had at Gen Con.
I
We
did.
had it made. You did not? Okay, it's
No, I
really
did.
cool.
I did
Oh, you
see
did?
it. Yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. We also are bringing out a expansion for the Pursuit of Happiness, the Pursuit of Happiness community expansion. It's another game that we brought out. Literally, both of those games debuted at Gen Con. So now we're having immediately bringing out expansions for them, for fans of that game. In the community expansion, you're able to go into your community and see the community things and how you interrelate with people in your community as you create the perfect life for yourself. So that's the Pursuit of Happiness community. Both of those games are coming out in February. In March, now we get into a few more things, including what the listener just mentioned, Noria. First, it's the Bottle Imp. Now, this is a re-release of a trick-taking card game that came out in the early 2000s. I believe it was like 2004, maybe a little bit after that. It was re-released by Z-Man Games a bit after that, and now we're bringing it back out because the license had expired. The Bottle Imp is a great game for 3 to 4 players. It plays actually down to 2 as well. It is one of the hardest trick-taking card games you will ever play. It's a game that where I'm very good at card games and trick-taking card games, and I still have never been able to do very well at this game. So if you want a big challenge with trick-taking card games, gorgeous art, check out the Bottle Imp.
Chris Ray had a question for you about that one. I heard him on a podcast. He said, I'd love to hear from Stephen Buonocore. The old Bottle Imp was really well known for its mechanics, the trick-taking, but not so much for the production. Is your partnership, or are you bringing out the new one? Are you guys making changes to it, or
the gameplay is going to be the same? So all your mechanics are the same. Card stock is getting upgraded to current card stock. It's a card game. The only thing about the game that is not card based is the bottle. It has an actual a wooden bottle, but it's really big. I don't know. I can't show it on a screen. I'm trying to it's like that big. The bottle is pretty darn big.
The artwork is staying the same for the cards?
The artwork is actually being improved.
Nice.
It's beautiful artwork on the original game, but we redid it, and I think it's an improvement. It's a similar style, but an improvement on the original artwork. So I think the people who have the original game are going to like it. They're going to appreciate that the new artwork with a similar style, very, very brightly colored artwork. So that's March, and then we hit Noria. So we delayed Noria to March. And by the way, all the games I'm mentioning right now are all on pre-order on the Stronghold Games website. You could order them right now and have them delivered to you immediately before the street date. That's our promise to our customers who order from us, pre-order from us. We get them to you before the street date. And all these games are in the warehouse. We're just kind of bringing them out a little slowly so that people aren't inundated with releases. So Noria, which is a March 21st release, this is a game from a new designer out in Germany. Her name is Sophia Wagner. Correct. Wagner or Wagner, as Americans say. That's fine. And
the ring cycle. Wagner. The ring cycle. Wagner.
That's right. There you go. She was the winner of the Spiel des Jahres Fellowship, which is an award for new designers in Germany. And she won this award in 2015. And with this game, it was brought over to a publisher in Germany, and they selected us to be their co-publication partner. We're calling this a game that's setting a new standard in games. It's called wheel building, where there's this 3-dimensional wheel in the game. Each player has this. I'm going to try to do it in my hand. It's like 3 different parts, and
I've got a picture up there. Can you see?
There you go. Oh, there it is. It's on the screen. I should look at your. You should have the one that actually moves around, and in the wheel that you see over there on the left side of your screen, you'll be able to place these tokens, and if you line them up, you'll be able to take actions based on the colors that you are able to put on your wheel, and you'll move that wheel physically around to create the different actions that you can take. So it is wheel building. It is a very novel mechanic. It is a beautiful game too because it's illustrated by Michael Menzel and Claude
Clemens Franz? Agricola guy? Yeah, Clemens Franz.
Thank you. Sure. You're better than me at this. So, so we've gone all out with this, and our partner, who is at Edition Spielwiese in Germany, they've really gone really overboard with doing a gorgeous production on this game. So we're very excited about this. March 21st is the actual street day for this, and we have 2 videos already been produced for this to show you how to play the game. So it really brings you right into the game as soon as you can see those videos.
Oh, nice. That looks
last
really
game
good.
Last game I'll mention, if you don't mind, is Dungeon Rush. We announced that again at the end of last year. This is a speed game where you're going into a dungeon and you are trying to go out and quickly defeat opponents, and you literally have to use your hands by hitting the cards that show up on the table to defeat those opponents based on what your character, everyone's got a different character, what your character can do. So that's Dungeon Rush, coming out first week in April.
How many people?
So that's our first quarter games. Thank you very much. You put up you're so good at this. Gosh, BJ.
Yeah, I had pictures of the other 2. I must not have uploaded them, so I apologize. But on Dungeon Rush, I couldn't find a lot about the mechanics itself, other than what you just described. How many players does it play?
2 to 4 players. You're going to be basically each person has a character. I could have a swordsman. You can have an archer, and they have certain stats. And you're going to be able to level up your characters as you go into the dungeon and defeat monsters. Oh, and the funny thing is, we call it a 12-minute game because you're going down to 3 levels of the dungeon, and you're going to be each level is taking you 1 minute. So you're basically going to show the monsters that everyone's going to flip over 2 cards, show the monsters, and then you're going to be able to slap those monsters with your hands. And if you did defeat them, you'll be able to take the monster and level up your character. If you didn't defeat them, kind of be negative points later on.
But kind of a beer and pretzels game type of thing?
Absolutely, yeah. This is a filler. This is a very quick game. Probably take you a little longer than 12 minutes, but we call it a 12-minute game because each time you go into each one of those levels, you're going to bring out 4 sets of monsters and go into the dungeon and go really quickly through it. So beer and pretzels game, very fast game.
You didn't talk about Space Freaks, and I am very curious about this one. What can you tell me about Space Freaks?
Well, Space Freaks actually came out toward the end of last year. Thank you. With that really, really, really cool box. This is one of the games that I'll bring to the table when I'm looking to play something. This is testosterone based, right? This is a combat kind of game, right? In Space Freaks, you basically are going to you're going to create your own freak on your table on a huge player board. You're going to pick a head for the freak. You're going to pick his arms, his legs, his body, and each one of those parts are going to be give you different powers that you're going to be able to access as you go into the arena of annihilation, and that is controlled by an arena master, which is a game system. Look at him bringing up his stuff here. In the arena of annihilation, you're going to be able to go in there, and the arena master is going to send you on missions. You're going to be able to go play King of the Hill, basically on the center of that board, or you're going to go out and destroy the other players' freaks. But don't worry, I destroy some of your freaks, they regenerate back at your spawn point, back on your side. So this is literally the ability to go out, create a fun character, and then in a turn-based system, go out and destroy things and level your guys up and things like that. So it's a fun, crazy fighting fest. And this is a game that, we talked about my style of game. This is so my style of game. Since you mentioned this one, and I did come out in November for us, but a couple of things are going on, a couple of promotions that we're going to be doing very soon in 2018, and this is one of them. During March, the entire month of March, we're doing a month-long promotion for Space Freaks. It's going on in about 75 to 80 stores across the U.S. and Canada, and you'll be able to go there and you'll be able to play the game, enjoy the game with our Knights of the Stronghold, which you are one of, and check out the game. So you don't have to buy the game blind. So we'll be doing more announcements about our promotions, but this is one of the big ones that are coming up in March for Space Freaks.
Hey, I sold a game for you already, Steven.
There you go. Awesome.
Jeremy
Wise.
says Dungeon Rush sounds great. Count me in. Just mail it right to Jeremy.
Awesome, Jeremy. Thank you.
And Dave, who is going to, of course, have to remind us that he loves to annihilate BJ during Gumbo game nights. I think Bradley is actually doing those Space Freaks demos for Envoy here in our town. So one of the guys in the Gumbo. So
thank you, Bradley. Appreciate
it. Looking good. So that's the lineup so far. I heard a little rumor that you've got a couple of unannounced games you wanted to talk about tonight. Come on.
Did I say that? Did I put that into the press release?
Give us a scoop. And there's one in particular that a buddy of mine from Punchboard Media has been nonstop talking. So if this is true that Stronghold has gotten this game and it starts with an M and it ends with an R, I think you know the one I'm talking about.
Wow. Yeah, that's the one he's interested in. That's so funny that you mentioned that one of the ones that I kind of like said to myself, you know what, I guess I can mention these games because we're about to announce them anyway.
He raves about it all the time. He says, I can't wait till American publisher picks this game up.
Yeah. The game is Memoir. Is that the one I assume you're talking about? Yes. You got to be Memoir.
It's got to be.
Got to be. So yeah, Memoir is another game with our new strategic partner out in Germany. It's again, it's an unknown company, but these guys that we've done Cottage Garden with them, we've done Indian Summer with them, we've done Noria with them. They're just hitting it, and we're going to continue to do great things. Memoir is a game where you're pirates, trying to escape the island with as much rubies as possible. So you're going to be a little bit of push your luck as you turn over cards as you explore this island, but you also have to have some memory as well. So old guys like me don't do good at this, but you can play this with your family and you can play this with your gamer friends as well. It's a game that they previewed at Essen, and now they've shown it to some of the Spiel des Jahres guys. And it's being touted as a potential nominee for Spiel des Jahres because it's such a nice, easy, light, approachable game. So this is a family weight game. Don't take it seriously. So it's one of that Spiel des Jahres weight game where you're gonna just play it with your family and your friends as a light game, as a light kind of filler game, and just go out loving this game. Memoir is the name of the game.
I love it. So Stephen, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, Gumbo Live. I've got my guest, Stephen Buonocore. Tell us, what is your con schedule for 2018? What are you looking at? Where are we going to see Stephen Buonocore?
We're going to be going through the same normal schedule we have. At the moment, I don't believe that I can remember that I'm adding any new consumer cons. Definitely going to be hitting a few more trade shows, but those aren't ones that the consumers would go to. So if you think about the consumer shows that your people will be concentrating. We're going to get to Geekway of the West again. That was our first time last year.
I might be there.
To that. Oh, awesome! Oh, it's such a great con. The hotel that is adjacent to the con center is amazing. They have I have to mention this. They have a free breakfast and they have a free evening social hour in St. Louis, where they have beer for all the attendees. It's amazing. The hotel actually just has a beer for all the people staying at the hotel.
Nice.
So anyway, Geekway to the West. We're gonna go to BGG Con Spring. We're gonna go to Origins. Going to be at Dice Tower Con. We're gonna be at BGG at Sea right before Dice Tower Con. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. I mean, that's not a working con per se. It's a fun thing, but we do some work and we show games off there. That's going to Alaska. Highly recommend if anybody has some extra cash that they get to one of these cruises that both BGG does and Dice Tower does. They're just fantastic. Then Dice Tower Con, as I mentioned, Gen Con, Essen, and PAX Unplugged. There's some small ones like one in New Jersey. I'm actually going to go back to New Jersey for Dreamation because it's also next to the New York Toy Fair in February in a few weeks. not happy about going back to New York in the winter. But hey, we're gonna do it for the fans and do it for.
You're a Floridian. You're gonna be hard. Struggle when you go up there. You'll see.
That's right. Oh, I know. Believe me. But so the con schedule looks about the same this year. I wanted to get myself to the UK Games Expo. I think it might be too hard because I haven't planned it far enough in advance. So outside chance that happens. We'll see what happens.
BJ from More Game Gumbo. It's Gumbo Live, episode 29, season 2. We've got our big guest, Stephen Buonocore from Stronghold Games. And Stephen, it's time to move to the Envie Game. Are you ready to play a little game?
I'm always ready for a game. Let's do it.
All right, good. So Envie is a Cajun word. As you know, I'm from Louisiana. I'm Cajun. And it's a Cajun word for, what do you Yankees would call it? You'd say a hankering for it, right?
No, we would not say hankering. You would say hankering.
No, I wouldn't.
We would say desire.
A strong longing. Desire. Yeah, a long desire. Okay. So a strong desire. In this particular case, yeah, that's not a New Jersey word.
That's not a New Jersey word.
Not a Brooklyn word. So in this particular case, it's an envie to play a game. It could be something Stronghold came out with, something that's a favorite of yours, something you've never played, something you want to own, something you play all the time. Your favorite game, maybe not your favorite game. It's just something that right now, when we end this podcast, if you could go out and play a game right now with your perfect group, this is the game you'd want to play. Now, don't tell us. We're going to try to guess it. We've got all these people on board, and Dave Dugas and Steve O'Rourke are very good at this game. I, on the other hand, I'm terrible. I mean, there's 90,000 games on BGG right now. It's really hard to figure it out. Oh, jonesing. Yeah, that's the word Jersey people would use, right?
Jonesing to play this game. If that's what you're thinking, I got it.
You got it? Okay, so we're going to go with the questions. Now, their questions don't count, but mine, I'm limited to 20 questions, so I got to figure it out during this time.
So by the way, before we start this,
here it comes. Here it comes.
No, I shouldn't even go there because I don't want to give away. All right, no, go ahead.
Come on, give us a hint.
No, just go for it.
All right.
Go for it. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Is it competitive or cooperative? I'm going to guess competitive, but.
It is competitive.
Aha. Is it an American designer or a European designer? Or maybe even one of those new Asian designers that a lot of these games that have been coming in? But I don't think so.
You're allowed to ask multiple choice, not yes or no. Okay, fine.
This is the Envie game.
It's not 20 questions. It's your rules, right? It is from European designers.
Oh, that throws me off a little because I did a little homework on you, Stephen Buonocore, and now
let's see.
But I can't use the computer right now, so I got to go.
Well, you said designer, right? European designers, right?
Yeah, European designer, right? Yeah. Okay. Is it board based or card based?
It is board based.
Yeah, I figured that. I think I know the answer to this. Is this one? Is it Ameritrash or is it Euro? Is it a hybrid? I'm going to say it's an American style game, but you tell me. Am I right?
It is most definitely an American style game.
Oh, Steve wants to know: is it hanging on your wall? I guess he means mine because you have a blinds in the back of your wall.
I have the blinds for my rental apartment here.
So did you notice that I have Buonocore, and of course, Ignacy Trzewiczek in the middle there.
I did. Well, I was wondering why you didn't put 3 Buonocore games in, but I'm okay with Ignacy. I love Ignacy. By the way, that's you can't see outside because it's nighttime here, but that's outside.
It does look warm outside, though.
It's warm. It's warm in here. Oh, I'm dying.
So Steve's guessing that it's one of these 3, but I don't think it's one of these.
Is he really? That's what he's guessing, huh?
No, I think he's.
Which one of those, Steve, is Ameritrash? None.
Yeah, no.
The answer is none.
All right. So, has it come out recently, like in the last 3 years? I'm going to guess no, but you tell me. No. Does it have miniatures? Dave Dugas wants to know.
That's a good question, Dave. Yes,
he's good at this game.
Dave is good, and the answer is absolutely.
Oh, no. I think my guest doesn't have. We've got a surprise here. Hold on. Maybe he can help us with it.
Oh, no. Who's the surprise? Crap. What's he doing to me?
Who could it be? Who could be joining the party right here?
Oh, no.
Sean Ramirez from the Dukes of Dice.
No! Hey, Sean.
How's it going?
How's it going, man?
So Sean, you're on Gumbo Live with Stephen Buonocore of Stronghold Games, and we are trying to guess his Envie game. Do you have a guess as to what game Stephen Buonocore right now, if he could play with anyone, any game ever designed, what game would that be?
No.
Or do you have some questions for him?
No. Well, here's the thing. Real quick, just quick aside. I was in the other room. We're in the middle of Gloomhaven right now. I was listening to one blowhard on television. Not going to say who.
Really?
And so I figured...
That's what you would call me?
No, not you. Wait, hold on. You're Because there's one blowhard on TV right now, and I said, hey, I want to come talk to another blowhard. But Thanks, Steven.
But
Sean,
you'll be here all night.
I'm not going out to any escape rooms with you anymore. That's it.
Oh, bummer.
All right,
Cheers.
so you don't have any guesses,
Cheers,
Sean Ramirez?
No. Great Western Trail. How about that?
That's an Ameritrash game.
Oh, you said Ameritrash? Wait, what'd you say?
Yeah,
So
he wasn't even
clues.
listening to this podcast.
Competitive.
No, I wasn't. I was playing Gloomhaven and listening to some other guy on TV.
Chris Strange says it reminds him of the Brady Bunch. So competitive European designer board game, and it's Ameritrash. And it didn't come out in the last 3 years, but it's got miniatures.
Competitive Ameritrash. What was the other clue?
European designer. Did not come out in the last 3 years, and it's got miniatures.
And it's got miniatures. Ooh, that's... I only know games if they came out in the last 2 years, so I don't know.
He's too much closer than you.
Well, let's get a couple of themes here. Does it have a fantasy theme? I'm going to guess yes.
Competitive?
Am I allowed to answer? Should I answer?
You have to answer there. You're on the stand, Stephen Buonocore.
It is fantasy. It is.
I'm getting close. I think I know the answer to this one, Steve O'Rourke. Dave Dugas says it's Kemet or Cyclades. I don't think so. Those are not fantasy. That will be historical.
Kemet's kind of fantasy.
Egyptian, right?
Well, yeah, but you've got the scarab and the war elephant and the phoenix, but it's not Kemet.
Stephen, is it one of those two? I don't think Dave Dugas right.
Are you allowed to? Yes, I have to answer.
You got to answer.
It is not. Of course not. Those are very, very Euro.
Oh, really? You call them Euros?
Well,
Okay.
Cyclades has got some competitive elements, definitely. I mean, fighting elements.
I'm going to let everybody else, because I think I know the answer. I'm going to let everybody else get in.
Yeah, you should. Anybody who knows me should really know the answer. Question.
Is it based on an IP? And Sean, that should be the hint for you.
It is very based on an IP.
Is it an IP from a particular movie that was a blockbuster with 7 different movies that came out?
Yes.
Yes. I know it.
Oh, Sean, he has no idea.
Wait. Is it a Star Wars game?
It's not a Star Wars game. That's not fantasy.
Movies.
This is great.
Ameritrash, 7 movies.
I'm finally gonna beat Steve O'Rourke. Yes.
I can't believe, and Steve O'Rourke hasn't figured this out yet.
He has not. I'm calling him out, Steve. I'm calling you out, Chris Strain. I'm calling you out, Dave. Dave says
7
BSG.
movies.
No, it's not BSG.
7 movies. So what's got 7 movies?
This is
Harry Potter. Harry Potter Ameritrash game?
That's a cooperative game. That is a cooperative game. Even Dave's given up. I know this one, right, Steven?
I know you know it. I know, definitely know you know it.
7 movies or 6 movies? Is it War of the Ring?
Yay!
Lord of the Rings is the movie, but the actual game is War of the Ring.
War of the Ring. He said War of the Ring. War of the Ring is my, and that's why I'm surprised that this actually went on as long. War of the Ring, I've said on many podcasts, it is my single number 1 favorite game. I don't get to play it very often. But if I had all the time in the world and I could leave this podcast right now and go play a game, well, I'd go to bed right now. But if I could do it when I had some extra time, War of the Ring, I think, is one of the most, brilliantly designed games in the world. It's just the decisions that you need to make and the way that game plays out comes out to the last last turn every game, and it is so thematically tied to the actual IP that it is. So
Sean,
six
have you played War of the Ring?
I played it. Last time I played it was probably about 12 years ago, mid 2000s. What I have played, I'm curious if you played it, Stephen, is Battle of the Five Armies.
No, it's funny.
I
own Battle of the Five Armies. I got it when it first came out, and it sat on my shelf, and my friend has it, and I gave it to him. I said, we have to play this, and we haven't played it. Then I moved to Florida. So hopefully I will get to play it at some point. But it's the same designers, of course. I'm a huge fan of those guys. I think Envie Games has done an amazing job of bringing that IP to life. So I'm sure it's brilliant as well. But War of the Ring is my number one game. It's been for quite a while.
The nemesis, Steve O'Rourke, may have trumped me. Look what he said, Steve. Steve O'Rourke said, and don't you have it hanging up somewhere?
No. What I have is the collector's edition of War of the Ring. The collector's edition came out, I don't even know. It was like in 2008 or 9 or something like that. And it came out at $400. And back then that was like, oh my God. And now it goes for like $2,000 in the aftermarket. Because
remember when you got sick at Dice Tower Con? You told me that you were selling it to me for $50.
No, I probably didn't say that. Yes,
I remember that. You were a little groggy.
And even if I was completely out of my mind, I wouldn't sell that game to you for anything. It's funny on my moving from New Jersey to here, a lot of my stuff had to go to storage, and the stuff that went to storage were all of my game collection, including my collectible stuff. And the one item that was specifically called out on all of my moving stuff was my War of the Ring collector's edition, because it's a single item. It's huge. It's when you hold it, it looks like you're holding a book, but it's all made of wood, and it looks like it's just beautiful in the way that they detail the entire thing. And I told them this thing is worth $2,000. Nothing else in this house is worth anything close to that. So they called it out there for insurance purposes. So there you go.
You know what threw me off, Stephen, and the reason I kind of knew because I'd done some show prep, and you've mentioned it a million times in your podcast.
I have mentioned all the time.
I didn't know it had miniatures, and that's what threw me off when you said miniatures. Yeah.
Well, no, it's gorgeous. They're all painted. The original game has regular miniatures. The War of the Ring has got a lot of miniatures to begin with. About I forgot the number, tremendous number. Then of course the collector's edition that we play with has all painted miniatures. So no, it's beautiful. It's a spectacle to behold.
Well, Steve, let's not forget, Stephen, that Sean is over there on Mountain Time, so it's like noon or something like that over there. I'm not sure what time it is, but for you and I, it's getting pretty late. So I'm going to say goodnight to Sean, but I do appreciate you coming on and talking with Stephen Buonocore.
Absolutely, Stephen.
Oh man,
everybody.
Thank you for coming on the show with me. That's awesome, dude.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, thanks for
when am I going to see? When am I going to see you guys in person again before we leave?
So I'm going to be at
St. Louis,
Arizona Game Fair in 2 weeks. I'm going to be at what's the St. Louis one?
Geekway to the West.
Geekway to the West.
Stephen will be there.
I'll see you at Geekway, man.
Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. I will see you at Geekway then.
Let's have a good time.
Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, buddy. Good seeing you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm back.
I don't know what happened there. We lost everybody there for a second. That was weird.
I'm good.
And I'll get to the end, though. All right, board gamers, that's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. I want to thank my guest, Stephen Buonocore of Stronghold Games. Hey, Stephen, how can they reach you? How can they reach you on social media?
Well, yeah, if they want to follow me and Stronghold Games, please. Our website is, of course, strongholdgames.com. And right now, we're running pre-orders for all the things I talked about. So if you want the game before it's on the market, you can go to strongholdgames.com and pre-order it. It'll ship to you with free shipping before the release date. In fact, it'll ship immediately to you. You can also follow us on Twitter at Stronghold Games. Like us on Facebook /Stronghold Games. We're very active all over the place, very interactive with people. So please just reach out, talk to us.
Board Games Insider?
Oh, thank you so much for giving me a nod on that one. So if you want to hear a little bit more about me talking and about the industry, you can go to Board Games Insider Podcast with Ignacy Chevicek, the president of Portal Games, and
Hello,
Stephen
hello, hello.
Buonocore,
Hello,
the
hello,
president of Stronghold Games. Right? That's the voice of our announcer. So we talk. We do a 30-minute podcast bi-weekly, Ignacy and I, and we talk about the industry, how the industry works. We talk about the news of the industry and literally comment on all the different news that has come out in the industry. And then we take questions from our audience, from our guild on Board Game Geek, and we then talk about what's going on in the companies themselves. Half hour in and out. We don't want to take too much of your time up, and we've been quite pleased with how it's come out, and we get a lot of compliments on it. So check us out, Board Games Insider.
Steven, it's a great show. I love watching it. Hey,
thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. This has been really great.
I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo, and Steven, until next time, laissez le bon temps rouler.
Nice.